diving into AI in education. It's been a hot topic lately, and you've sent us a ton of notes and articles on it, so clearly it's something you're really interested in.
Yeah, it's definitely making waves.
Yeah, and I have to say I am too. So I'm really excited to dig into this with you today, to see how AI is changing the way we learn and develop, explore what's possible, and also, think about some of the challenges because I think, any new technology comes with those. So
Absolutely.
let's get into it.
Yeah, let's unpack it.
Yeah. What's really fascinating to me is how much AI is already being used in education. We're not talking about some, sci-fi future. It's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
not just a concept anymore. It's actually happening. Yeah, you're right. We're seeing it implemented in a variety of ways in the education sector.
So like some of these learning management systems that I think a lot of educators are already using are incorporating AI in really interesting ways.
Yeah, and that's a great starting point because a lot of people are already familiar with those systems. And to see how AI can be layered on top of that is, I think, really fascinating.
Yeah, like instead of just being a static, platform, it can actually start to personalize the learning experience and offer recommendations
Mm,
based on, how a student is performing or
exactly.
doing.
It can almost act as a personal tutor in a way
Mm-hmm.
by looking at the student's data and suggesting, okay, maybe you should focus more on this area or you're excelling in this area so you can move on.
Right.
So it tailors the learning experience to each student's needs.
And it's constantly evolving too, right?
Yeah,
As the student progresses.
exactly. Yeah, it's constantly learning and adapting to the student, which is really cool, I think.
Yeah. And that actually brings up another thing that I think you highlighted in your notes, which is these AI-powered chatbots.
Mhm.
I have to say, the idea of 247 support for learners, that's pretty revolutionary.
It is, and it's something that's gaining a lot of traction right now. You see
Yeah.
companies like Intercom and Drift that are already using AI-powered chatbots to provide instant answers and assistance to students no matter the time of day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that's not just, helpful for the student, but it also frees up educators from constantly, answering the same questions over and over again.
So they can focus on more,
Yeah, the higher level stuff,
the important stuff.
the human interaction.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely pros and cons to think about there. Like, on the one hand, it's amazing that a student could, be struggling with something at midnight and have instant access to help.
right.
But on the other hand, is there a risk that, students become overly reliant on these chatbots instead of,
Yeah, are they going to develop critical thinking skills?
right, or seeking out deeper understanding from an instructor?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great point. I think we have to be careful about not letting technology replace the human element in education.
Absolutely. You also had some notes about immersive learning, like using virtual reality for skill development.
Mhm.
That's something that I think, for a long time was just kind of a cool concept, but it seems like it's actually becoming a reality.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing platforms emerge that are creating these incredible, realistic simulations for hands-on learning.
Wow.
So, imagine medical students being able to practice surgery in a virtual operating room,
Oh, wow.
or aspiring pilots, honing their skills in a simulated cockpit.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from just,
Yeah.
passively reading a textbook or listening to a lecture.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a lot more engaging.
Uh,
And speaking of creating engaging content, you had some interesting examples of how AI is being used for that too, right?
yeah, absolutely. I think that's another area where AI is really making a difference.
Like what kind of things?
So there are AI-powered tools now that can help educators create dynamic, multimedia-rich learning materials. Think interactive videos, quizzes, even simulated scenarios, all designed to keep students actively involved and interested in the material.
So it's really a move away from those, static textbooks and lectures of the past.
Exactly. The goal is to make learning more interactive, more engaging, and frankly, more fun.
Yeah, it sounds like AI can do it all in education.
Hold on. There's one more crucial aspect we should touch on, and that's the analytical capabilities of AI.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
Well, several platforms are using AI to track student progress and provide tailored feedback and recommendations.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like having a personalized coach who can identify areas where a student might be struggling and suggest specific resources or exercises to help them improve.
So it all ties back to that, personalized learning.
Yeah.
The idea that AI can analyze a student's, strengths, weaknesses, preferences, and
Yeah, and tailor the learning experience accordingly.
right.
So imagine a system that adjusts the difficulty, the pace, even the type of content presented based on how a student's performing and what they seem to respond to best. That's the power of AI-driven personalization.
Right. And that, for an educator who's always struggled to meet the needs of, a diverse classroom full of students, this sounds like a dream come true.
Absolutely. It has
Yeah.
the potential to revolutionize the way we teach and learn.
Are there any downsides, though? I mean, could it be possible that a student gets sort of stuck in like an educational bubble if the system is only feeding them information and activities that thinks they'll like or, excel at?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Hmm.
We need to make sure that personalized learning experiences still expose students to diverse viewpoints and challenge them to step outside of their comfort zones.
Okay, so we've got personalized learning, 24/7 support immersive simulations, AI helping to make learning content more engaging. What else is out there? I mean, what other ways is AI transforming education?
Well, there's a lot more to explore, and I think that's what makes this topic so fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. We've only just scratched the surface.
All right, so let's dive a little deeper.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, one area that's particularly exciting to me is the potential for AI to make education more accessible.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, think about it.
Hmm.
Students in rural communities or students with disabilities or anyone who faces barriers to traditional classroom learning,
Mm-hmm.
AI-powered tools can help bridge those gaps by providing personalized instruction and support that's tailored to their individual needs and circumstances.
So it's really about creating a truly individualized learning experience no matter where you are or what your physical limitations might be.
Exactly. And AI can also play a role in making learning more engaging and fun,
Mm-hmm.
which, let's be honest, is essential for keeping students motivated and invested.
Yeah, especially these days, right? With so many distractions.
Exactly.
Mm.
You mentioned gamification earlier, and I think that's a great example of how AI can make learning more appealing.
Yeah, how so?
Well, AI can be used to create interactive learning games that adapt to each student's skill level and learning style.
Oh, that's interesting.
So these games can make acquiring knowledge and practicing new skills feel less like work and more like play.
I can see how that would be a huge draw for students who might otherwise, struggle to stay focused.
Exactly. And it can help them, really grasp the material in a way that's enjoyable for them.
Right. And let's not forget about all the administrative tasks that AI could potentially help educators with.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Things like grading assignments, scheduling classes, even providing personalized feedback can be automated,
Oh, wow.
which frees up teachers to focus on what they do best interacting with students, fostering creativity, inspiring a love of learning.
Yeah, I think a lot of educators would be thrilled to have, less paperwork, less administrative duties.
Definitely. It can really free up their time and energy to focus on the things that matter most.
But is there a risk that we become too reliant on AI in education?
It's a valid question.
What about the human element? Mentorship, collaboration, the simple act of learning from and with others. All those things are so important.
You're absolutely right. It's crucial to remember that AI is a tool, not a replacement for the human connection that's so essential to learning.
Right. So how do we strike that balance? How do we make sure AI is being used to enhance education, not diminish the human aspect of it?
I think that's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It requires thoughtful consideration and ongoing dialogue among educators, policymakers, and the developers of these AI tools. We need to be mindful of the potential pitfalls while also remaining open to the incredible opportunities.
You said potential pitfalls. Are there any specific concerns that come to mind?
Well, one thing we have to be really cautious of is ensuring equitable access to these AI-powered tools and resources.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We don't want to see a situation where some students benefit from the latest AI innovations while others are left behind.
Right, because of, financial constraints or lack of infrastructure.
Exactly. Technology has the potential to either widen or narrow the educational gap, and it's up to us to make sure it's used as a force for equity and inclusion.
And as AI becomes more sophisticated, I mean, we also have to think about its impact on critical thinking skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's one thing for AI to, provide answers or complete tasks, but we don't want students to become so reliant on these tools that they lose the ability to think for themselves.
Right. We don't want them to become passive learners.
Right,
We
exactly.
want them to be able to solve problems creatively, evaluate information critically.
So it's really about finding that sweet spot where AI and human intelligence can work together
Yes.
to create a more well-rounded learning experience for everyone.
Exactly. It's about using AI to complement and enhance human intelligence, not replace it.
Okay. So we've talked about a lot of really important benefits and potential concerns. It seems like there's a lot to consider as we move forward with AI in education. Are there any, emerging trends or developments on the horizon that you think people should be aware of?
Oh, there are definitely some exciting things happening in the field of AI in education. One thing that's really caught my eye is the increasing use of AI for early childhood education.
Oh, wow. So we're talking like preschool, kindergarten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Traditionally, AI has been more focused on, higher education or corporate training. But now we're seeing AI-powered apps and platforms designed specifically for young learners.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, think about apps that can help kids learn basic literacy and numeracy skills through interactive games and activities,
Oh, that's cool.
or platforms that use AI to personalize the learning experience based on each child's individual needs and developmental stage.
So it's really about, introducing AI to kids at a young age.
Yeah, and the idea is that by exposing them to these technologies early on, they'll be better prepared for the future,
Yeah.
where AI is going to be even more ubiquitous.
Right. So it's almost like, giving them the tools and skills they need to thrive in an AI-driven world.
Exactly. And another trend that I'm seeing is the use of AI for teacher training and professional development.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, there are platforms now that use AI to provide personalized feedback and guidance to teachers, helping them improve their instructional practices and better meet the needs of their students.
So it's like having a virtual mentor or coach.
Yeah, exactly. And it's available to teachers 24/7,
Yeah.
whenever they need it.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, especially for teachers who might not have access to, in-person professional development opportunities.
Right. It really helps to level the playing field.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say is the most important thing for someone to keep in mind as they think about the future of AI in education?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that AI has the potential to truly transform education, but it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
It's not going to solve all of our problems overnight.
Right. It's a tool.
Exactly.
Mm,
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
right. So it's really about how we choose to use it.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the human element comes in. We need educators, policymakers, parents, students all working together to ensure that AI is used ethically and effectively in education.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as our listener continues to explore this topic, on their own, what's one question that you would encourage them to keep in mind?
That's a good one. I think I would ask them to consider this. How can we ensure that AI is used to create a more equitable and inclusive education system? One that benefits all students, regardless of their background or their circumstances.
That's a great question to leave our listener with. It really gets at the heart of what's at stake here. As we navigate this new frontier in education, I think it's a conversation that we all need to be having.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us on this fascinating exploration of AI in education.
My pleasure. It's been a great discussion.
And for our listener, if you're interested in learning more, be sure to check out the show notes for links to some of the resources that we've talked about today. And until next time, keep on diving.